Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of our Out of the Box International podcast series, where we continue to delve into the priority theme of economy with a social mission. I'm your host, Enrique Martos, and today we are exploring a crucial topic when discussing this theme: education, inequalities, and young people with fewer opportunities. A more egalitarian Europe not only embraces our values and European way of life, but also leads to a more productive, sustainable, and efficient union, switching traditionally dependent and vulnerable groups into increasingly more independent and self-sufficient. To achieve this, we must transform the mechanisms that inhibit equality of opportunities, which unfortunately are still many to overcome in our societies. That's why today we have a special treat for you. We are going to explore a real-world case study that embraces innovative thinking, a good practice that has been implemented by people that think out of the box. Concretely, I'm really proud to analyze this case with you today because it comes from my home country, Spain. The program is titled Mentores and has been carried out by EsadeEcPol, the Center for Economics Policy, in partnership with Empieza por Educar, the Spanish branch of Teach for All. You can read the full article at the link in the notes of the podcast that will directly send you to the EsadeEcPol webpage. So let's begin by introducing the good practice of our podcast today. The program Mentores is an 8-week tutoring program in Spain that has offered free 100% remote after-school tutoring to secondary school students aged 12 to 15 from highly disadvantaged backgrounds and neighborhoods of Madrid and Catalonia. This program focused on academic and social emotional outcomes, distinguished itself with 4 key features: the online implementation, the involvement of qualified math teachers, small tutoring groups, 2 students per tutor, and a holistic approach that encompasses math support and social emotional development, including motivation, well-being, and effective work routine. Mentores aimed to provide a supportive and accessible educational environment to help disadvantaged students overcome challenges and achieve their full potential. Mentores was initiated to address a critical issue: educational disparities among vulnerable children in Spain. A program that born out of the realization that many vulnerable young people faced significant educational disparities, which in the long run perpetuated inequalities. These young people often lack access to quality educational support, which is crucial for their development and future opportunities. The case study aimed to test an innovative approach by providing online tutoring to these children with fewer opportunities. It recognizes the power of technology in bridging educational gaps, especially in an area where online learning is becoming increasingly prevalent. By witnessing the potential of online tutoring, the program provided free support to a student who needed it the most. Now, exploring the findings, the study showed that the program Mentores had a significant positive impact on the academic performance of the participating young people, and their grades improved noticeably, and they also developed essential skills that went beyond academics, boosting their self-esteem and confidence. This successively is greatly improving their chances for a better future. The outcomes of this study underscore the potential for scalable and cost-efficient solutions to address educational inequalities at multi-level of governance. By using the online tutoring, the program not only improved the academic lives and fueled further aspirations of the vulnerable youth, but also can contribute to the boosting and creating a more egalitarian Europe. Now, as a gift and surprise for you, my beloved audience, I have the pleasure to have here with me and introduce to you Ludo Keizer. Coming from Amsterdam, Ludo is an expert in youth leadership and education, working in the field with young people with fewer opportunities. Welcome, Ludo. Thank you for being here with us.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you. Could you tell us better about how you end up working in the field of youth leadership? What your work look like? Perhaps if it has some relationship with this previous program that we just have commented here. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Erika. Well, it's a big question. How did I end up here? I think what I can say is that I never really felt at home at my home, but also not in school as a youth. And so the streets were very attractive to me. So I started hanging out on the streets, and this was the only place where I felt home as a youngster. And on the streets, you will find a lot of different cultures, people from different backgrounds, and a lot of them not from privileged backgrounds. And I felt very home there. I also noticed that in today's society, still today, but when I was a youth, which is more than 20 years ago, I think it was quite similar, that there is still a lot of discrimination, people not being treated the same way. So I truly, deeply believe that we are all equal, but it shows in different arenas, in schools, on the streets, in business, that we are not all being treated equal. And this always had a deep impact on me. I did go to college, and after college, I really didn't know what to do. I had no purpose really in my life. There were things I liked and things I cared about, like I just described. But yeah, I really didn't have a purpose that I was able to define for myself. And spent some time as a homeless in homeless situations. Also, like I mentioned earlier, and I can be honest about that like I had a juvenile record. So adding all these things up, I was very lost in this world. And this is maybe a connection already to the previous program you mentioned, Mentores. There were a few people, older people on the streets that were able to mentor me a little bit. And I am from Amsterdam, but I lived and worked and traveled around the whole world. And to me, this happened while I was without any money on the streets in Kingston, Jamaica. I ended up there and I was not in a good position. But there was an old man there, Ted was his name, and he started talking to me. And he started asking me questions and caring about who I was, where I was coming from, and what I wanted to do in my life. And with the questions he asked me, he helped me formulate a purpose, which was bridging cultures and making sure that we are all equal and fighting for our rights to be all equal. And so I started, thanks to his mentoring and him inspiring me, listening to me. I started a youth organization back in the Netherlands. And that youth organization was for youth with all different backgrounds. And it was all about youth empowerment and doing it ourselves. And we had an immensely diverse youth group. And that youth group did all kinds of activities for all kinds of youth, mostly non-privileged youth. And we did all kinds of activities. We did like a Ramadan festival, because especially back then, and now it's still a little bit of the case, we have a lot of Muslim youth in the inner cities, and they are in Europe are not being, they're not feeling at home, and there is not as much attention for who they are and how they can flourish in our society. So we started doing lots of activities, and the organization became pretty big. And through that, I was invited into different talent programs, and I grabbed the chance. I was in all these talent programs, and there again were a lot of mentors. You can say leadership facilitators, and so I started connecting with them, and I stayed connected with them, and they gave me opportunities. And so I've done some work in diversity consultancy, and then I started moving on to leadership development. And for the last 10 or 15 years, I've been into leadership development. I've worked with top 500 companies all around the world, mostly as a creative, and doing some facilitation in leadership programs. And my goal was always to bring that back to youth. So to learn from these, very good and maybe sometimes well-known leadership facilitators, and just learn everything they had in their backpack, and then bring that back to the youth world. And I'm proud to say that, especially the last few years, I've been working with a few companies, but especially with one company in the Netherlands. The name is Ollie, Ollie.nl. And so Ollie is doing youth empowerment. And what we've been doing for the last few years is with a lot of trainers all around the Netherlands. They work in schools, but they do non-formal education. And what we do is we do purpose development with youth. And the great thing is, I think there is getting more attention for that. The Dutch government has signed a bill, or however you call it, that youth in the Netherlands have to do civil service. And we got a big grant just a week ago. We got approved for a big grant to do year-long purpose development programs connect to civil service with youth all around the country. So I don't know if that's kind of an answer to your question.
Definitely, Ludo, incredible life path. And what I feel is that you will become the TED of many new youngsters. And I think that's can be incredible, impactful and meaningful, because you know what is to be there in that spot of not knowing what to do with your life. And then I think it's really great that you can bring up the tools so that people could find their own answers, right? As you say, to find their own purpose. And I'm really happy for you that you can now also is taking some more initiatives from the government, and you can participate and make even a greater impact in that sense. My following question is related to how is about this. If you could share a bit with us more insight about the impact that your job has on young people that you have been already commenting, and how it can help to challenge these inequalities and reach a positive education performance in that sense, or this purpose uh, uh, finding the purpose of these people.
Yeah, I can try. What you mentioned about mentores and what came out of the research and the results that came out of the mentores program is that well-being of youth improved a lot. And I think that's mostly mental well-being, which is always obviously connected to physical. But we see in the numbers, and that is in the Netherlands, but also in the US where I'm at right now. This is also throughout all of Europe. I've worked in India. I've worked in Australia. It's everywhere is the same. That you see that well-being is not improving the numbers when it comes to youth, and we do connect that a lot to the COVID period. The problem with these researches is always that the researchers are following behind what the reality is, because you can only research something that already happened. And I think it has not only to do with COVID, it has to do with the way society is developing. We have less time for each other. We are more glued to our screens, whether it's phones or computers. And it's not helping our mental well-being. And you see that in youth. A lot of youth is feeling lost. There is not enough people and not enough spaces, not enough programs, if you say, that connect us with what is really important in life and what helps us to feel good and to not feel lost. And so Mentores is already doing that online by being there for someone and working in small groups and having these personal connections and creating mentorship. And this is very necessary, I believe. COVID is now behind us a little bit. We still have something sometimes going on, but the world by itself, how it is not changing. We still are all glued to screens. We are not in nature enough. We are not having enough personal connections, and we are not enough connected with ourselves. And so maybe there is a nice quote from Nietzsche who says, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." So if you truly know what you want in life, if you know who you are and what you want, then it's much easier to navigate your path and to deal with obstructions, to deal with challenges. And knowing who you are and what you want in this time is probably even more important, because there are so many distractions. And let me connect one more quote to it then, from Carl Jung, saying, "Those who look outside dream, those who look inside awaken."
Wow, powerful.
And I think it's a very powerful quote right nowadays, because we are looking outside all the time, and not outside in the physical world, but outside through our screens. We are looking to what other people are doing, and we keep on dreaming, we keep on dreaming, we keep on dreaming, but we are not awakening. And for that, you need to look inside. For that, you need to discover who you are, you as a unique person. Everybody is unique. We are all equal, and we all have something unique to give to this world, our gift to this world. And to discover that, there are ways to look at that. And especially if you're coming from a position in life that is not as privileged, you do not have as much access to theater, to sports, to developing yourself in a creative way, but also to getting access to mentorship None of that is as much available to people with a non-privileged background. And so we as a society have to do something about that, and that's what we try to do with the work I'm doing. And this is not just for youth. This counts just as well for adults, but we are focusing on youth right now in this conversation. And so, yeah, who am I? What do I want to do in this world? And then how am I going to do it? That's what we need to focus on um, to flourish in this world. And there are different types of people. Obviously, there is a lot of ways for looking at character and personalities. But what is for sure is that there is a lot of people who are seeking how they can create impact in this world and how they can feel of value in this world. So it's I think super important that we develop programs in school, but also outside of school in youth work, supported by governments, but also by just voluntary work. I've always believed in voluntary work, and all those areas need to help with creating these programs that help young people find out, who am I, what do I want to do, and how can I do that.
Definitely, because what I feel is nowadays, or maybe also it was before like that, but there is a pre-established way of living. You don't decide what you do or what you want to do with your life. It's already decided for you, and you have to follow the path. And it's so difficult to break that path and go in another way, because there are so many pressures around you to follow that same path as everyone does. It's my impression for in this nowadays life. For example, they always tell you have to finish a school. You have to go and do the high school that will bring you to do a university degree. Don't do these vocational trainings, because that is doesn't not what people should do. And there are so pre-established path, and people maybe think, but I would like to do, I don't know, cooking, but there are more pressure to try to achieve a university degree and then work, but then the work needs experience, and then it brings so like in a paradox, no? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's just from this time. I quoted Nietzsche earlier, and Nietzsche is famous for saying, "Don't follow the herd." So the herd mentality was already there in his times, and it was there in times way before. But I think, yeah, it's not easy to shape your own path, and for some people, the path that is brought to them by society and by the herd fits them, and that is fine. We should also not disqualify that. But there are people that need to follow a different path, and yeah, there is so many one-liner quotes on Instagram right now that, like, yeah, they don't help you. They don't give any follow-up to how you should really do it for yourself. I know that you went to law school. Most people think of somebody who goes to law school will end up in a suit in some sort of office, and doing either going to standing in front of a judge to plead for cases or to write contracts. I also think for lawyers or people who went to law school, there is many different options. But what are those options, and how does that connect to who you really are and what you want to do? That's not easy to find out. In general, I do think that, like you said, a path is somewhat forced upon you from a very young age. You need to, in high school, you need to pick what kind of university or college or trade school you will be going to. And many times, including in my case, that is uh, brought to you by your environment. And so, you know, I was good in sports, and from my background, sports were very important. So I did sport, health, and management. Now I do like sports, but it wasn't my purpose to do that. And so I hear so many times from youth saying, "Well, my dad and my mom wanted me to become an accountant because that was a safe way to create my future." And you just see them crumbling away from not being happy, but they are doing what they do because they love their parents and they don't want to disappoint them. Um, yeah, so there is so many. Um, there's so many
ways,
challenges.
no?
Yeah, there's so many challenges in finding your own pathway and how to be happy with your pathway is you know it's a challenge, and we can help by painting different pictures, by especially again helping young people with the confidence that it's okay to create your own path, and to trust your gut, to trust your heart, and to create from there instead of creating only from the mind. We have to be able to connect the heart, the gut, and the mind in your future path. If you don't do that, for sure you're going to be unhappy.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more with you, Ludo, in this regard. Just now to wrap up, I would like to, but I think we already talked about it, but if you have maybe other idea again, of course, go ahead. So I would like to comment on anything else that is important to mitigate disparities among youth. Yeah, you comment that another resource could be volunteering, that always is in the society and is a good way also to promote this encouragement to youth to as we said and comment now, to build up their own path, to trust their gut, and to realize that this okay, and there is outside their people that did the same and they achieved their purpose. So we could encourage by volunteering, or maybe any other ways that come up to your mind to help them to achieve that.
Yeah, volunteering is definitely a way that I believe in, but to give it a broader context, I would say, I think being servant is what we need to focus on way more. Being servant sounds like, oh, it's just helping someone or doing some voluntary work for the other. And while all research shows that being servant will help you in your confidence, in your power, in your connections that you have. So, to be servant, servant leadership is something that needs to be encouraged way more. Servant leadership will bring you to a path that will help you. And yeah, that's why this civil service that the Netherlands is trying to do now, I truly believe in it. And it's also what Out of the Box has been promoting throughout its existence. The off the beaten path will flourish as long as you stay servant. And it's something I believe in. It's maybe not a wisdom that you can back up always with numbers or with books, but servant leadership, this is what it's about.
Totally. I think in my opinion, I completely agree with you again. And also, I believe that all the out-of-the-box thinker out there, they would agree with you. So thank you once again, Ludo, for sharing your insights and expertise today here with us. Your perspective and work provides, I believe, solid tools for our youngsters that most need them. And I want to leave our audience with this crucial takeaway. It's through innovative ideas and courage, as Ludo proposed and the program mentors work on, or as our out of the box, as Ludo commented before also, that we try to bring this servant purpose, is how we can make a significant impact on addressing educational inequalities and fostering more equal and prosperous Europe. So let's keep thinking out of the box and continue to explore these innovative solutions together in our future episodes. So, quoting you, Ludo, and Aristoteles, here is a say that means when where the needs of the world and your talents cross, there lies your vocation. Thank you all for joining us on this important journey. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe, engage, and be part of the change. This is your host, Enrique Martos, signing off from the Out of the Box International Podcast Series. Thank you, Ludo. If you want to say
Thank you.
last one, bye. Great.
Thank you so much.
All. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.